So of all the amazing things we've seen showcased at this year's E3, probably one of the most fascinating is BioWare's new work in progress, Anthem.
Yes, that was quite a technical showcase.
That was quite a technical showcase. So we saw this trailer during Microsoft's E3 press conference. We saw a little teaser of it during EA's, and then they waited to showcase the power of the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Which was so worth the wait. Probably one of the most fascinating things in this trailer was the very beginning.
Yeah, it right away it opened up. Someone pulls back a curtain, which is kind of symbolic there.
Yeah.
And then immediately you see tons of character models on screen, tons of incredibly...
Tons of people standing in like a marketplace.
Incredibly detailed people.
Really detailed people.
Yeah, and then the camera sort of pans up to the right and you see this giant mech-type creature. Looks like an AT-AT or AT-ST from Star Wars walking through, and it's even bigger than those, and people are getting out of the way.
Yeah.
Goes back to the marketplace, and there's even more character models on screen at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, incredibly high poly, high texture, lots of facial detail in every single NPC that's on screen. And then eventually they show one person come up right into the camera. He's got even more detail.
6 inches from you.
Yeah.
Super detailed face.
Mm-hmm.
You would think this was a human.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't look like a character model.
And then that proceeds to where sort of the gameplay picks up,
mm-hmm.
Where you put on a suit. Was it like an exosuit?
Like an exosuit. Yeah. So they, two people jump in to do like a gameplay trailer, and they are about to leave for a mission, and one of them asks the other what kind of suit they're taking, which doesn't get explained for another few minutes. And so there's different types of exosuits, and you can level up your exosuit similarly to the way you would level up your weapons and things like that, maybe even more so than your weapon. I think that part's left to be seen. So you can wear different exosuits that specialize in different things, and then you can also level up the features of those exosuits. So in general, they're each wearing a different exosuit. There's the Ranger and the Colossus. Those are the basic two. And each of those can do some pretty cool descending. So they start the trailer and you can go down this big circular tunnel. They went down that tunnel for a long time and showed up wherever they were going to be. You can swim underwater. You can stay underwater until you want to pop out, which they used later in the trailer to like sneak attack somebody. But when they show, so they dive through this big tunnel and then they're in this landscape. And the landscape is just beautiful. The landscape is super detailed.
They're really showing off the power of what the hardware they're working on there. And you got to keep in mind, a lot of these trailers, a lot of these gameplay things that we see at E3, they're actually done many months in advance because they have to get everything worked out and make sure that it's running properly. So they don't start a month out from E3. They start out many months ahead of that. And if you think about where the X hardware was back then, they probably were running somewhere between 60 and 70% when they started. Yeah. They're still saying it's around 80% finished, 85 maybe on the final hardware. So they're really showing off what they can do with a lower powered version of the Xbox One X hardware. And they're saying at the show that it's running in 4K 60 already.
Yeah. And they're only using part of the power.
With all of those textures, with all of those NPCs on screen.
Yeah.
All the particle effects, which you're going to go into.
Yeah, so then they're walking along this landscape. You have all different kinds of things going on. You can use your exosuit to fly through the air, which at one point they used to avoid a very big boss-like looking creature that they didn't want to fight until they had a couple more friends join. So it's 4-player co-op. A couple more people joined later, and they did end up seeing a boss similar to that. That boss exploded and caught on fire. And I'm not sure where that was going on. Something else was going on with that. And you saw the fire just fade perfectly, and then all different kinds of particle effects. And this wasn't the first time we saw particle effects on screen either.
No, you saw fog before you saw anything.
And fog.
Volumetric
so there was
fog.
kind of like wind, and then tons and tons of fog.
So there's volumetric fog. You can see that there's a wind element to this. There's the embers from the fire that are various degrees of burning. So you got the ones that are really bright and then turning into ash. And then in addition to that, there's like pollen in the air that you can see if you're watching in 4K.
Yeah.
In addition to the pollen, there's other little things floating. And then in the distance, on top of all of the layers of all these things, you can see birds and other animals flying and animals like walking around as well. All of that is going on at the same time in a vast, expansive environment.
Yeah.
Very impressive stuff. That's the stuff that you would hope to see in tech demos years ago.
Yeah.
That we never ever got a game that actually looked like.
Yeah.
It was just sort of this is what you could theoretically do if all you were doing were visuals and no actual physics or no actual control mechanics or anything like that.
Right.
They're doing this with the physics and the control mechanics.
Gameplay mechanics.
This is gameplay, and it looks finalized, and it's
looks
nowhere
amazing.
near finish.
Yeah. And the exosuits seem to do some power attacks where you can target multiple enemies. There's lots of enemies on screen, which I think with the power of the 1X, I think is a really minimal thing to be able to do to put the power on screen. I think that's pretty simple. So really excited to see what else is to come from Anthem. We will obviously provide updated coverage if we get anything more from Anthem, and look out for more trailers as well. More trailer reviews, I should say, as well. More videos about some of the games that we're most excited about.
Definitely.
Subscribe to our channel if you like this content, and watch out for more. Thanks for watching.